along the trail of death that no one really wants to talk about or remember in our history books and in schools is that the trail of death was out of Indiana in the Great Lakes regions, and with that went the seeds. And there were a lot of foragers here, a lot of woodlands and woodland tribes here, and the introduction to agriculture was here and through the indigenous nations. And it wasn't monocropped, it wasn't fertilized except with love and what we could put back, like what we're doing over here today, what we can give back to the soil to have really good food, nourishing food to eat. And so perhaps in 200 to 250 years or more, the seed has been brought back to Indiana. The seed was sent to me as a seed saver from Stephen Smith, who carried this seed and sent this seed from the original seed library, knowing that that's the seed that belongs here, and also believing in our work here and what we can do to bring this back. And so I've grown a few seeds out, and it started with a soft key corn seed of the Seminole Nation. And that seed was sent to me in trust and in care to bring it back to life. It was in a seed vault, and then it was brought out, and then it was sent to me, to us here, and I grew it in my backyard. And then I was able to send a pound back out of my backyard gardens, and in that pound of seed that was sent back, and it was sent to Oklahoma, it was taken to the local prison, and it's feeding prison folks. It's feeding people who are incarcerated, and they get to work that corn and feed themselves with this corn and get to have that outdoor experience and that joy, and it's feeding folks. And then that is what really started it all for me, was the in the seed saving, was the fact that was the most heartfelt work I've ever done, next to home birthing my own children. And I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. She just turned 18. So and good morning, Ayana Rose too. And so she's on spring break in North Carolina. So that started something, that spawned something really deep within me. And really deep within me are my pagan roots, my roots from Prussia. And Prussia no longer exists as Prussia. And so the same thing that happened to this land with the colonizers happened centuries ago, hundreds of years ago, to my people. And we were sun worshipers, we were growers, and we had a lot of fruits and seeds that were condemned and ordered. It was against the law to grow. And then the people went into hiding to grow their seeds and keep their language alive. It's a lost language of the Prussian people and the Prussian nation. And so even that a lot of stuff gets stolen, like the language is lost, and it's just now being repaired in some ways, and it's going to take a whole lot of time to repair the language of my people and of my lineage and heritage. But I feel that in my soul that I was a grower, that this is relating to my relatives and to my ancestors. And so then that's what helps me connect with my indigenous friends and the songs and I was raised different. I was raised by a Mongolian man. and I caught that early on. And so he was the first Mongolian family to come here to this land and naturalize. And so I felt different my whole life. And I felt out of place my whole life. I felt out of way, or maybe even in the way a lot of the times. and I got in my own way a lot of the times, and I still get in my own way a lot of the times. So that's where I give much thanks to our indigenous friends that invite us in and help us remember who we are and help us to see each other around the circles and sing these songs and teach us a new language in a new way, in a different way, you know. So I've always been that rainbow, you know, and I caught that rainbow, and I ended up in Quebec, Canada, on a indigenous tribal land up there, and invited into a sweat lodge, and that was my first lodge, and they said we need another woman because a mother had to go nurse, and they said you, and I was like, okay. And so then I was taken under wings of love, and I was shown how to use sacred herbs like tobacco, the sacred tobacco, and the cedar, like what Chaska's been using today. And we grew it, we grow it, we grow these sacred herbs too, and that go along with the ceremonies, you know. And so now we're growing these sacred corns. There's been a few others. I've been entrusted with the Lacandone Mayan seeds, and it's the first time they've left the jungle of the Lacandone Mayan to help preserve those for the future. Not that they're lost, and they have been blessed in our care to help hang on to those, help grow those, help keep those alive for the future when technology and logging and roads go in, the language becomes lost, and the children are leaving home and not coming back to the Lacandone Jungle Preserve. Then we have those seeds protected in our seed library. We are a seed library, a repository here, you know, repository here. We carry these seeds. I've been entrusted with a 30-year-old seed collection, so I want to say happy heavenly birthday to Kay Grimm, who passed that to our community.
Mm.
And we do need this in our community, and we need community. We need the trust of the community, and good words and good thoughts and good prayers in our community. And that's how this is all going to keep going. Our gardens, you know, and our gardens over there and over there. And that's how this is going to keep going around like that. And so um, there's been an Iroquois corn that we've done this with. There's been Chaskey and Ama adopted Cherokee corn that the Cherokee Nation, they don't have that seed, and we do. And so we're going to keep asking for growers to help us save these seeds. We're seed savers, and we're going to save these seeds from extinction, because without that, then our diversity in our food foraging, in our food forests, in our gardens is lost. And so we're going to keep the diversity alive in that way. And so to speak on diversity, we brought this corn today to share. This is the Potawatomi Mesquite, and the Mesquite translates in the Potawatomi language to red. Red. And so red seeds were sent to me, Mesquite seeds were sent to me to grow. And my first year of growing this will be the 8th year, and continuing. I really connected with this one because this is the one from Indiana. This is the one from here, from home. And we're reviving this back. It's home. She's home. She's home. Now some folks, it's a male and female plant, mazes, and some folks refer as a her or a him, masculine or feminine. And I feel that. I feel all that. But I call her with the corn woman story that follows her in these ways. And there's many stories. So the Mesquite was sent, and that's what this is. This is what we've been saving year after year. Um, the first year I grew it, it was a combination of um, saving the Mesquite, which has been nearly lost as a pure red seed. And as Alma mentioned, that many nations, many tribal nations, indigenous nations have a color that is so sacred to them, and a meaning that mean it stands for something. And so that first year I grew this in my backyard. And to finish, the Cherokee, Alma, and Chaskey, they grew that out on their own for us, and so we'll be able to send that back to the Cherokee Nation. So thank you for that, and that's how we're going to keep doing all of this. And so the parent, this is the parent corn, and it's calico, and this is what was preserved in its original state as Potawatomi maize. And so it took years upon years, maybe even hundreds of years, to select the red, and just the red, replant the red, and then it was stabilized. And so the first year I received this corn, it wasn't stabilized. I got one third, and one third. It was balanced. It was perfectly balanced with a transpositioned corn. And so you'll see when you look up close to it, it's got lines. It's gene hopping. It's transpositioned. And so you'll see lines. You'll see a lot of the colors, but then you'll see that red undertone, and then you'll see that it's all the parent colors too. And you'll see all of this when it comes out in all of the colors. This is an ear, and all of this is from last year's 2025 grow out. This wanted to do half and half. It didn't know about itself. And so that transpose with the parent still intact. And then we have more parent. A lot of blue came through with the parent, but the parent is in its natural form. We'll never lose the parent. We'll always preserve the parent too for the Potawatomi Nation, and keep that in our seed libraries. And we get to eat this too. And we'll save the Mesquite to keep planting that, because we're still trying to stabilize that and revive it back to Indiana. And so you'll also see that this corn, it bleeds red. It's Mesquite, and we got to put it in a field for the first time. And year after year, in the 7th year last year, it got to do what it needed to do, what it remembers to do, it with its original instructions built into the seed. Is when it's planted in a field, it sends out tillers, it sends out strength and all of her might. She shows us who she really is and who she remembers herself as. And so she showed me a lot of things that I hadn't seen just in my backyard. It wasn't the same at all.
Community.
That's right. Community. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
It's important.
It's very important, yes, to have that community, those prayers that come together, yes, and those good words like that. Thank you. And so she got to really do. She grew wild. She grew ears of corn out of her tassels. She grew ears of corn out of her silks. She grew ears of corn everywhere, and tillers and like bushes, and she gets real tall, reaches for the sun. She's a nitrogen fixer, so she'll fix our soils. She'll help add nitrogen for next year's gardens back to our soils. She's the mother of all in the gardens, and she stands tall, and the spirit of her is alive. Every year I only saved everything I could, but I only ate one kernel every year in my backyard, because I felt it was more important to grow this and save these seeds. And I'm so grateful that I did, because a gentleman came into the shop where I work. I work in a garden store, a local owned garden store, and a hydroponic store, the only store like ours in the whole state. And a total stranger offered 4 acres last year while I was at work, and it's like beside myself, like, is this even for real right now? And I was like, yes. It was an instant yes. And we needed this to go home, to come home like that in a field. And so we had it soil sampled, and we sang to it. We put tobacco down for it, and it was a yes all the way. And when we had mid-June when it was offered to us, and corn should have already been, not to should on anybody's corn and methods, but typically is already planted before June. And we were still planting in July. I made some sacrifices to stay home and not travel to to continue to plant this corn. It took 2 weeks with just a small handful of us singing Chaske, walking around, his mom and I, and his sisters, and Alma, and Braxton came after, our helpers came a little bit later. And so we built, just, Braxton was like, hey, he walked into the shop also. He said, I grew all these flowers, but I don't know where to put them. Come on. And that's how we're going to keep doing this, And then Angel showed up out there, and Braxton was there at the time. And he gave her a tour, and she found her way in, and she's remembering her indigenous roots. And Michael came and planted our marigolds that are the sacred marigold of Mexico and his heritage. And we built upon this corn. Our community, our building community was built. I would have planted it all by myself, because it's that important. And I felt nourished every single year just eating one kernel. On my birthday, Chaske brought me an ear of corn and said, here, this is for you. We had Leo and Michael and my son. They're all helpers with around food and serving people. And they made a farm to fork dinner on my birthday on our 4 acres. And Michael also planted the sunflowers to protect this mesquite corn. So by now, last year, the parent corn is kind of fading out. And like I said, we'll never forget her, because that's how we get to the mesquite, and it'll always be there for anyone that's looking for it. And it's rare. It's extremely rare. This is not for sale corn. This is not something that we give to just anybody. We don't gift this to just anyone. We want to keep this within our circles, and our growers, and keep reviving. We've got other gardens that are going to pop up with mesquite, and their neighbors aren't going to know what this tall red stuff is, and it gets 15, almost 20 feet tall.
And we didn't even have to water it.
And so we finished planting in 2 weeks at the end of the second week of July, and depending on rain the whole time, because we don't have water structures and a way to water except our tears, because a lot of tears were shed up here, that's for sure. I cried on your mom's shoulders. It's a lot. it's a lot, and it's a big responsibility. And so this was grown in 2 months, seed to seed, with no watering, in 3 back-to-back droughts. That's how residual this corn is. That's how much this corn wants to be here home. And she remembers in her bones her home. She's home. And so by now we've got almost mostly red, the mesquite, and after 7 years of selecting and only replanting. So we ask that only red seeds continue to be planted, and we put there's the stories of the 3 sisters that came originally with the Mayan nations, the Mayan peoples, and that's the corn, beans, and squash. And the Iroquois coined or termed, put the language to the 3 sisters originally, and it originally was the teachings of the Mayan peoples, and so they have milpas, and so they do slash and burns and feed their soils with that good biochar, and just that's how they get their nutrients, and they figured it out. It took many years to figure out the 3 sisters. The milpa is to grow corn, beans, and squash together, and so
OG permaculture.
yes. And so the Potawatomi Nation, to the best of my knowledge, adopted the 3 sisters, the concept. The corn grows tall for the beans to grow up. The beans help feed the soil nitrogen, and the squash keeps the ground protected from drought and critters, and protects the mother corn in that way. And so we try our best to do that as well. And so this is also a squash that we grew, and it's returning. It came from Indiana as well, and the Potawatomi Nation adopted the concept of the 3 sisters from the Miami Nation. And so, also the teachings of the sacred tobacco and the sacred chanupa or obwagan, the sacred pipe. And so this is the Getty Okosomin squash.
Getty Okosomin.
In Miami. And so this is also being revived back to Indiana and all around. And so we're going to open this up today. We grew this last year, and it's seasoned, and it's a summer squash and it's a winter squash. And this seasoned all winter, and she's good. She's got seeds in here that we're gonna grow, and we're gonna repot on the spot. And so y'all will have this squash to grow with your mesquite too. And we're still working on the beans, so I encourage you to, maybe consider growing one of our beans that needs grown out and saved that way. And with all of this that we did last year, we had not just in this amazing corn and how it grew so many different ways. This one decided to be tassels and corn coming together.
Looks like a flower.
And there was just so much that happened with this corn that we didn't see before. We didn't get to see that. This one, it did split into 3. There's a tassel growing out. There's corn in there still. There's 2 ears of corn still in here. I encourage everybody to look and touch this and bless it, And some people will put a seed in their mouth and let that saliva connect with the seeds before planting. So when we plant that corn's gonna collect our DNA, and we can plant that, and that seed will grow what we need for our
That's right.
bodies. Yeah.
That's right.
And so that you'll see the diversity, and it's a land race, so it does what it wants. And it grew tall and short, and some were variegated, but you'll see the silks. This is medicine. Corn silk tea. And you can see all the different colors that came, the purple, you can see it in the braids, you can see it in, so you'll be amazed, you'll just be amazed when you see this corn growing for yourselves. We put a sunflower block around in front of, some say that the sunflower is masculine, that in some tribes the warriors would put sunflower pollen on them for protection before they went to battle, or keep it in their pocket, sunflower seeds, and the sunflower was a masculine. So to protect this utility plant that maize is, every part of the corn plant is a utility plant. It's used in different ways. Corn flutes, and with the stalks, and you'd see some really beautiful stalks too. They were every color like this, every silk and every stalk, and it comes out like this, and so do the stalks, and so every part of the, from the ground up, the nitrogen from the sun down, the nitrogen in the ground for next year's nitrogen, and the silk, the pollen from the pollen sacs are collected for ceremonial uses. The Dene, the Navajo Nation, they'll sprinkle corn pollen on their altars before a ceremony gets started. It's sacred. It's good it's healthy. It's good for our bodies to have corn pollen, and to have corn silk tea, and take corn silk baths, and it softens our skin. This takes care of eczema,
Eczema.
and skin ailments, poison ivy, and all kinds of good things, that comes from this. And then, of course, the nourishment. We're learning how to nixtalize
Nixtamal.
this corn, and make a lye with it. And so we take ash, hardwood ash, and we boil it with the corn and water, and we make it to where the heart, because this is a flint corn. We can eat it green. It's not the same as sweet corn, but it's a lot like it, but better. We can eat it in its green corn when it's young, like sweet corn. And you might see the street corn at fairs, and it's all seasoned, and that's green corn. That's traditionally green corn. And so it's used in a lot of ways green. You can eat it green. It's nourishing, and before it goes into the milk phase. And so after the milk phase, it's just chalky, and it wants to go to seed like this, because it's a flour. It's for grinding. It's for sustainability. It's to get through the winters, and along with the winter squash that we're gonna keep growing and saving, and so with all of that, we can preserve our food for the winter, and keep it going like that. And so it's ground, and it's nixtalized, and so that can be used for its flour, and so it's used to eat. To make, it's hard to get other outside, like people from the outside of all of this, to understand, like, this is corn we eat. It's not Indian corn like they say in the grocery stores, like they sell in the grocery stores. That was appropriated as Indian corn. You'll get 3 bunches of corn rubber banded together, and it's sold in grocery stores and at farmers markets and farm stands as Indian corn or decorative corn. It looks a lot like this, but it was appropriated. We made braids. We make braids and we hang them on our doors for always and near our windows in our homes, not just at Thanksgiving, for always. And it's a protection. She protects us and she keeps us fed, and nurtured and protected. And so we make braids and we hang them. And that idea around Thanksgiving about hanging them on our doors on the outside, that's different from what we're doing, And so when we were planting this, Kay Grimm, she said, don't plant all your seeds in one place at one time. You never do that. Never do that. And so I always followed that too. But then all we had was all we had. And I woke up in the middle of the night, popped right up. I sent it back to the seed library every grow out, every year. I sent it back to the seed library. It's backed. It's backed. We can plant it all. And so we did. I always, I've, I've hosted seed swaps that I shared seeds, not these seeds, but generalized seeds, in educational tables. And I always keep seeds like this to show and tell on my table. So we still had those for my show and tells, and we're taking them apart out there on the earth and we're planting them. This is all we have. We have to plant this. We have this opportunity. And so then I got a hold of the seed library with Stephen Smith, and he said, oh, the Potawatomi Nation, they called and they needed some seeds. So this is a fine example of why we have these in our seed libraries, because they'll find us. They'll find their way home. And we're just, I just consider myself the seed garden, like start these and you go plant these, Alex. Hey, I have a good idea. What if we all grow an acre and keep this going like that? So then, so that seed wasn't backed anymore, but it was rematriated. It was returned to the Potawatomi Nation, and so that felt good. That felt really good. So then Michael and Justice and I went to the 2025 maize gathering at IU Bloomington to their gardens. And there was indigenous folks there teaching and speaking and doing good things with corn. And so we took a braid and drove all the way down there. We took a braid of Mesquite and two braids of one parent, one transposed, and one Mesquite, three of each, and one of each, but two of those braids. And I knew that a Potawatomi speaker was going to be there. And we need to also keep making sure that we're looking for the Potawatomi people and the indigenous people to help them return this and give this back and gift it back, and keep it alive like that. And so we're going to go to the idol drawer. We're going to go to these maize gatherings. We're going to keep going to the ceremonies and taking this corn around with us. And we're going to keep singing to it and showing up to ceremonies with it. It already has gone to Michigan, because the Potawatomi speaker that we met at that maize gathering, he was the one that called the seed library and got the seed already. And I'm handing him corn again. So that felt really good. And there's a Shawnee brother that is working on Shawnee seeds down in southern Indiana, and we gifted him a braid, and he's reviving Shawnee, bringing home Shawnee seeds. And after they spoke, I was like, couldn't help but notice those seed envelopes, and that handwriting is Stephen Smith's. And then so we connected. They got some seeds, and then he reached out, and Kaya he reached out and asked if he could have. He didn't ask if he could have, but he asked to trade 4 pounds of maple sugar for an acre's worth of Potawatomi mesquite. So we got 4 pounds of maple, and after this, he's gonna get his acre of corn too in Michigan. Yeah. Maple sugar. Oh, that's got real good nutrients in it too. It's real dense and full of good stuff. Oh my gosh, it's straight, from a tree. Like, this is how we're gonna keep taking care of each other, and tamales have been made. We had a friend that was working with this corn all winter that worked with the ash and the lye and the nixtal and process so that it's more nutrient dense for our bodies to be able to assimilate it better and process it better. And so then our bodies can benefit from it, and I felt it. I felt that, eating it this year. And so yeah, we're gonna keep doing it like that. We're gonna open this up today. Won't take too much more time. In our seed library, um, there were some gourds that belong to ceremonies that go along with some ceremonies that some of us have been a part of, and and so the rattle that the Alma played, she that's a gourd I grew. And those gourds were frozen for 30 years in a seed library, and I got to order new ones, and the new ones were pencils, and there was only 2 that sprouted, and I only had 5 to work with the old ones. These are the old ones, and they beat 2 Guinness Book of World Records in size of the gourd, and also how many gourds we got off of that plant, that grandmother gourd plant. She's a landrace, so she did whatever she wanted to, and she was locked up for 30 years in a freezer. No, but yes, we've got to release these seeds and let them teach us. They're my teachers. Let them teach us. Let them be here for them.
Yes.
For the children, for their children's children, in the next 7 generations and further. And so a lot of our group, we've already had gourds, but I brought a gourd for everyone I met today. You can see they're made into instruments. They went 2 different ways. They went more Moroccan style and the birdhouse style. That came from one plant, one 30-year-old frozen seed. And they shake. There's seeds in here. Save your seeds. Please take one. Welcome yourself to a gourd that you connect with. But you can keep it like that with the seeds, but they're in there. They're in there. And they can be planted, and there's hundreds of seeds in a gourd in some of these. Spread them out, share them. There's ceremonial peyote rattle gourds that go with the ceremonies. You can buy them like that, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything, the ones I bought, and it was really cool to see the trial of them next with each other and how good the old seeds did. The prayers, the songs, the tears, the children, the food, the ceremonial food, it's all in these gourds and these seeds, just like this seed, you know. Those old seeds are being sold. They've been worn out. They're fading out. They're not being preserved properly, and that's how I feel. That's what it taught me. And that's what I believe. And so you can see that was made in trade for gourds. It has horsehair because we're gonna send our prayers up and into the four directions with that swiftness of the horsehair, right? And so we can utilize this in so many different ways. The flutes, the gourds, the instruments, and the sacred instruments. You know, Braxton wanted to share about the traditions and the history of the Huitachuli. He just got to go see his grandpa in Mexico.
Yeah, right before all that stuff went happening with the cartel. So we left on a Friday and came back, and on that same Sunday, that's when all that went down. So we got pretty lucky. So there's a mushroom or a fungi. I don't think it's really considered like a mushroom, like a typical mushroom, but it grows on this kind of corn, and they call it corn smut or wheat lacoche in Mexico, or they also call it food of the gods too. I didn't know about it until last year. I saw it growing out of the corn, and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck is that?" And yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, just like any other mushroom, there's just spores floating around everywhere. You can't see them, and it gets into the corn, and it pretty much like just hijacks it. So, it like passes the corn's like plants have immune systems, and once it gets past that, it like turns off the defense to that fungi, and then it just takes all the nutrients from it. But it doesn't kill the plant. It just like basically rewires it and says, okay, do this, pull all your nutrients to this infected spot, and it just becomes massive, like gray and like silver, like a pale gray. It's pretty cool. Um, yeah, I mean, you could cook it. It's just a mushroom, so but a lot of people will put it in quesadillas because they can taste it more, or they'll put it in some kind of stew or something like that. Um, let's see what else. I wrote a little like a school project.
It tastes like truffles. Like
Yeah,
it's like a
it's
really
really
It's pretty good.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's like $20 to $30 a pound too. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Can you hold this again?
It has more protein than corn in it, so there's that, and then it's rich in antioxidants, phenolics, and flavonoids is what the antioxidants are. And it doesn't spike your blood sugar like corn does. It's more complex, so it's like a slower release in your digestive system. And it also has some mild prebiotics in it, and yeah, has magnesium, phosphorus, zinc. And I didn't know this word until I was looking it up. It says umami. I didn't.
Oh,
Read it.
yeah.
How do
It's
you
like
say
one of
that?
the umami.
Umami.
It's like one of the flavors.
Yeah. It says it's like is it the fifth or the sixth, something like that.
It's the newest one. It's the sixth.
Okay. Yeah.
The umami.
Cool.
Is it a big round piece that goes on the corn so you can see it from the distance?
It like grows in the husk, and sometimes you won't even know it, but it'll like blow up, and it's just crazy.
So it'll come out through the husk.
Yeah.
I've seen corn that had a big old giant thing sitting on the side of it, and I thought it was something eating or something.
Yeah.
But it just sounds like maybe it's this mushroom thing that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. It just like grows in these, and it just like comes out the side. Yeah. It's pretty neat. It's really good. A lot of farmers here. I've never seen it grown on corn anywhere. I think they treat for it so that it doesn't grow.
Or
But-
they treat for it now.
Yeah. But not in Mexico. In Mexico, they try to grow it. Yeah.
Then they harvest that separately and sell it.
Yeah, some farmers they'll like run around with like needles, like you've seen, I don't know, mushroom people like
Yeah,
they're real
inoculate.
sterile. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they'll do that.
I was born in the South in 43, and I used to see these things on the side of the corn.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody had their own garden, and you'd have corn back then. You'd have this big thing on the side of the corn, and we thought it was something. Us kids thought it was something on the corn. My mother would always say, "Leave that alone. It's good. Leave it alone." And I don't know what she did with it, but it looked really strange.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just
It's
this
like
big
a
thing, big round thing that comes out.
It's a bulge.
Yeah.
It's,
The
it's
corn-
scary if you don't know what you're looking
It
at.
feeds,
Yeah.
it feeds off the core.
Well, you were right. I mean, it is kind of eating the corn. It doesn't kill it, but it just like it literally hijacks it and it pulls all the nutrients to where it's at.
It's feeding from the corn.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the curcumin and turmeric. It's kind of the part that of the turmeric that
Yes. Yes.
man, I bet you that's good. For
It's
cancer
delicious.
and stuff like that.
It didn't do that in my backyard either. This corn is magical and
Yeah.
it's alive, very much alive.
Have you ever used? Have you ever made corn oil out of the corn?
We haven't gotten that far.
Because of
We-
the corn oil today is so contaminated with preservatives and stuff.
The corn oil,
It's
yes.
really hard to find a good oil substitute because sometimes it's for some of us can't use seed oils.
Right.
And that's
Right.
what a lot of people use as a substitute.
Yes.
And then the olive oil has a high burn intensity,
Yes.
so
We want to keep learning all of these
Yeah,
ways to
it's-
process and,
yeah.
and build our cabinets,
Yeah.
our apothecaries, because it's medicine to have. If we made our own corn oil, we want to keep that going. And are you complete?
Yeah.
This corn has anthocyanins in it. It's anthocyanin rich, and so with the mesquite, red, blue, black, purple fruits and vegetables, it's anthocyanins rich, and just like antioxidants, they're
Yeah.
rich in anthocyanins,
Oh,
which are the same concept, higher than it goes above antioxidants. Like we eat blueberries for antioxidants. It's like that with this corn too. Yes. And so we planted the sunflower block, to touch back in on that real quick. The sunflower block, I was like, we're gonna put this on the north side of the corn because